Tensions in Eastern Europe have spiked after two Russian military aircraft, a Su-30 fighter and an Il-78 tanker, violated Lithuanian airspace on October 23, 2025. The incident, which unfolded in broad daylight, has sent shockwaves through the region and reignited fears of escalation along NATO's eastern border. The jets crossed 700 meters into Lithuania from Kaliningrad, remaining for 18 seconds. A move widely seen as a deliberate test of NATO's resolve. Such incursions are not random. They are calculated maneuvers designed to gauge the alliance's response time and unity. Lithuanian President Gitanas Nausėda condemned the incursion as a blatant breach of sovereignty and called for stronger European air defenses. He emphasized that Lithuania, as a frontline NATO state, cannot afford to ignore such provocations and urged allies to bolster their military presence in the region. Vilnius summoned Russia's diplomats, signaling that such provocations won't be tolerated. The diplomatic rebuke was swift and unequivocal, underscoring Lithuania's determination to defend its borders and sovereignty. The incident highlights the region's fragile security, with Russian military activity casting a constant shadow. For the Baltic states, every border violation is a reminder of their vulnerability and the ever-present risk of conflict. Lithuanian officials believe the Russian aircraft were conducting mid-air refueling drills, a provocative act so close to NATO airspace. Such exercises, especially when unannounced, are seen as both a show of force and a rehearsal for potential future operations. Moscow denied any wrongdoing, claiming its flights followed international rules, a familiar Kremlin tactic that only deepens mistrust. Russian officials insist their actions are routine, but few in the West are convinced by these explanations. This is just the latest in a series of Russian provocations, from drone incursions over Poland, which have triggered air defense alerts and diplomatic protests, to airspace violations in Estonia, where NATO jets have been scrambled repeatedly to intercept Russian aircraft approaching the border. Russia appears to be systematically probing NATO's defenses, testing both military readiness and political will. These actions are not isolated. They form part of a broader strategy to intimidate and destabilize the alliance's eastern members. Each incident, while brief, adds to a growing sense of instability across the region. The psychological impact on local populations is profound, as uncertainty and anxiety become part of daily life. For Lithuania and its neighbors, these are not abstract games, they are daily threats to security and peace. Ordinary citizens are reminded that their safety depends on the vigilance and unity of NATO. The stakes for NATO's eastern flank have never been higher, and the world is watching how the alliance responds to these mounting challenges. NATO's response was swift and decisive, showcasing the alliance's readiness and resolve. Spanish Eurofighter Typhoons, stationed in Lithuania, scrambled within moments of the Russian incursion. The speed and efficiency of their deployment were a testament to the rigorous training and preparedness of NATO forces. Though the Russian jets had already turned back, the rapid deployment sent a clear message: NATO is ready to defend every inch of its territory. This show of strength was not just for the adversaries, but also to reassure the citizens of the Baltic states. The Baltic Air Policing Mission, active since 2004, relies on rotating squadrons from allies like Spain, Italy, and Poland to protect the skies of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. This collaborative effort ensures that the airspace remains secure and that any threat is met with a unified response. Lithuanian Prime Minister Inga Ruginiene reassured citizens, "Lithuania is safe. Together with our allies, we defend every centimeter of our country." Her words echoed the sentiment of unity and collective defense that is the cornerstone of NATO's mission. The seamless coordination between ground control and air patrols demonstrates the alliance's unity and operational strength. This level of coordination is crucial for maintaining air superiority and ensuring that any potential threats are swiftly neutralized. The incident has sparked calls for even stronger air defenses, including ground-based missile systems. These systems would provide an additional layer of security, ensuring that any aerial threats are detected and intercepted well before they can pose a danger, and tougher rules of engagement. These measures are being considered to ensure that NATO forces can respond more effectively to any future provocations. Some leaders argue for a more proactive deterrent, making future provocations too risky for Russia to attempt. This proactive stance is seen as essential to maintaining stability and preventing any escalation of tensions. The shield is holding, but pressure is mounting to reinforce it further. The continuous presence of NATO forces in the region serves as a constant reminder of the alliance's commitment to the security of its member states. NATO's commitment is not just a promise, it's a visible, functioning reality. Joint exercises and multinational drills are regularly conducted to ensure that all forces are prepared to act in unison. The message to Moscow: the Baltic skies are not up for grabs. NATO's presence is a clear deterrent, signaling that any aggression will be met with a formidable and united response. The Lithuanian airspace breach is part of a broader Russian campaign to test NATO's eastern defenses. In September, NATO jets shot down 20 Russian drones over Poland, the first direct engagement with Russian assets since the Ukraine invasion. Days later, Russian MiG-31s violated Estonian airspace near Tallinn for 12 minutes, prompting a rapid NATO response. These incidents force split-second decisions with enormous consequences. Lithuania has now authorized its military to shoot down any unauthorized drones, reflecting a tougher stance. Analysts see this as hybrid warfare. Russia harasses and intimidates, hoping to sow division and normalize its aggression. The West faces a constant test: respond decisively or risk emboldening Moscow. The Russian incursion triggered immediate, unified condemnation from European leaders, who swiftly gathered to present a common front against the aggression. Their response was not only vocal but also highly coordinated, reflecting a deep sense of urgency and shared responsibility. The timing of the crisis coincided with an EU summit in Brussels, where leaders from across the continent were already assembled to discuss security and cooperation. The violation underscored the urgency of Readiness 2030, a comprehensive initiative designed to strengthen Europe's collective defense capabilities and ensure rapid response to emerging threats. This new plan aims to bolster European defense through increased investment, joint military exercises, and enhanced coordination among member states. Baltic leaders in Poland voiced full solidarity, emphasizing their frontline position and the importance of unity in the face of external threats. They declared that an attack on one is an attack on all, reaffirming their commitment to collective security under NATO and the EU. Such unity sends a powerful signal to Moscow: Europe stands together, undivided, and resolute in its defense. Attempts to divide Europe will only strengthen its resolve, as citizens and leaders alike rally behind the principles of democracy and sovereignty. Polish Defense Minister Kosiniak-Kamysz called for vigilance and stronger defenses, urging all European nations to remain alert and prepared for any escalation. His words reflect a new consensus in Eastern Europe, where the sense of shared destiny and mutual protection has never been stronger. The EU's response goes beyond words. Concrete actions are underway, with new defense agreements, infrastructure projects, and rapid mobilization of resources. Leaders are actively building a more resilient, defensible continent, investing in advanced technology and fortifying key positions. Russia's actions are seen as a direct challenge to the rules-based order, threatening the stability and peace that Europe has worked so hard to maintain. In response, Europe is determined to stand firm, demonstrating unity, strength, and unwavering commitment to its values and security. As military tensions rise, President Putin has escalated his rhetoric, warning the West that attacks on Russian territory with Western missiles would provoke a severe response. This was a direct reaction to Ukraine's request for long-range Tomahawk missiles from the US. President Trump's administration has imposed new sanctions on Russia's oil industry and signaled a lower tolerance for Russian provocations, even suggesting NATO should shoot down violating jets. Diplomatic relations have soured, with a planned Trump-Putin summit cancelled after failed peace talks. Putin's dual strategy: intimidate NATO and test Western resolve, while the US counters with economic pressure and strong support for allies. The standoff continues, with Europe's security hanging in the balance. Russia's repeated airspace violations are forcing NATO to rethink its rules of engagement. Traditionally, NATO has responded with restraint, interceptions, and diplomatic protests, but frontline states now demand stricter protocols. Lithuania's move to authorize shooting down drones is seen as a first step. The debate centers on whether to allow more forceful responses to manned aircraft that act aggressively or ignore warnings. Some members worry about escalation, but Baltic and Polish leaders argue that inaction only invites more danger. Any new policy must balance deterrence with de-escalation and requires unanimous agreement. The era of treating Russian incursions as minor nuisances is over. NATO is preparing for a more robust, unified response to defend its sovereignty. The Baltic tensions are part of a wider conflict, military, economic and diplomatic, centered on Ukraine. Ukraine has struck deep into Russian territory with Western-supplied missiles, disrupting Moscow's war effort. The EU has tightened sanctions, though debate continues, over using frozen Russian assets to fund Ukraine. Russia threatens retaliation if its assets are seized, adding to the economic standoff. Meanwhile, Russian drone and missile strikes continue to kill Ukrainian civilians, fueling Western resolve. Russia's airspace violations are a show of strength as it faces mounting pressure on multiple fronts. The conflict is a grinding stalemate, with both sides probing for advantage far beyond the battlefield. Europe faces a turning point as Russian provocations force a fundamental reassessment of its security. The risk of miscalculation is real. One mistake could trigger a direct NATO-Russia conflict. NATO is accelerating new defensive strategies, more air defenses, clearer rules of engagement, and greater unity. For frontline nations, the threat is immediate and personal. Security depends on NATO's ironclad commitment. The alliance must remain united and resolute, or risk undermining its credibility. Russia's goal is to find cracks in Western unity. NATO's challenge is to hold the line. The path ahead demands military readiness, diplomatic strength, and political will. The recent crises are a stark reminder. Peace in Europe must be actively defended.